Are you a pet entrepreneur and or pet marketing professional? Do you want a place where you can gain innovative marketing strategies, receive actionable advice, keep up with the latest trends, and thrive in today's market? Welcome to the Pet Marketing Mastermind. All guests are proven and successful marketers in the pet industry.
Adam, welcome so much to the Pet Marketing Mastermind. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start with your journey. How did you and eventually AGoldPhoto get started in the pet space?
My journey started, I worked at an animal shelter down in South Florida, and my background was in marketing and was hired to do the website, redo the website. They had actually hired a marketing agency that did not do a great job, according to them. So they wanted to bring someone in house. And this was 2013. No one at that time really was hiring independent social media, not independent, but like someone to manage the social media and website in house at an animal shelter. So I was one of the first to do that, at least at this shelter. And this was like a pretty progressive shelter. So I can't imagine there was many people doing marketing and social media for a shelter, and that was their full-time job. So the website took about 6 months. Website looked great. And then the photos of the shelter animals did not match the quality of the website. The photos were in cages. The people who were doing them before were using the flash on top of the camera, which is a no-no. You really don't want to be using that, and inside their kennels. So at the time, there's a big movement to get the dogs out of their kennels for their photos so people can visualize them, in their home, not in behind this like scary environment or, quote unquote scary cage environment. So essentially taught myself through lots of practice because I had thousands of animals to practice on, and then watched a video series. There wasn't much at the time. Now there's so many videos online, including my own about, how to do shelter pet photography properly. And I just fell in love with it. I just got really good at it. I fell in love with it and just loved the idea of using marketing to promote these shelter animals. Because a lot of people think shelters are scary places, or it's the opposite. They'll say like, just I can't go to a shelter because I'll adopt everyone, or
Yeah.
I'll take them all home, or it's too sad there. You get both reactions. So if I could utilize my marketing skills to I use the word merchandise these animals, but they're not like a product, but they are in a way, right? We could kind of go into that. But how to market these animals in a way that are appealing to people that may not be in the market for a dog or a cat or whatever. And
For
you could
sure.
apply these, yeah, you could apply these tactics to any widget. My widget was just shelter animals. So I did that for 2 years. And unfortunately, when you work in an animal shelter, the salary isn't super high because it's nonprofit, whatever. So decided to take a corporate marketing job where I live now, which is in Tampa. I was the director of marketing at a software company. We helped dealerships upload their inventory to Craigslist. We can go into that if you want. But I just didn't love it. I didn't love it. It wasn't for me. I was using marketing to put money in someone else's pocket. I was using marketing to, just help the bottom line of the business. And it just wasn't fulfilling when I had just come from 2 years of marketing shelter animals. So then I started volunteering here at the Humane Society on the weekends to feel fulfilled because I missed it. It was never a business opportunity, never a way to make money. And they eventually, after a few months of doing adoption photos just for fun, they said, "Hey, can you do a fundraising event for us? We think people would come in and, we could do a fundraiser, you take photos, we'll split the profit." And it went very well. I leveraged Facebook events and Facebook advertising. All the events sold out. Started reaching out to shelters all over Florida. Those sold out. Started reaching out to shelters all over the country. Leveraged Facebook advertising. Those sold out. So we were doing that for from 2016 to 2020. Quit my marketing job in 17 to go full time. So I did it a bit like part time on the weekends and at night um, for about a year or so, and then 2017 in May went full time. So I just celebrated 8 years full time as a pet photographer, which is wild. Yeah.
Congratulations. I love that story for where it started as like it was a job and then you learned and then it was a passion and then you learned and then the market said, "Yes, we want more of this." And then you learned and you're like kind of
Yeah.
taking the hints and the clues as you go along. Your portraits, and if you've not seen, we will definitely put in the show links what he does, are more than just photos. They tell powerful stories. How do you approach, so let's say there's a dog and sitting there in front of you, how do you approach taking photos of these shelter pets? Obviously you have a course, so I don't want you to reveal everything in the course. There's probably 1,000 things you can do, but what's that step one, or what's something that like Adam does that not to speak ill will of other photographers, but you see them in there, they're like, okay, next, click. What's like that first Adam step, a gold photo step approach?
Yeah, yeah, and thanks for mentioning that course. I'll give away, as many secrets as you asked me about it. The more people that can get inspired to do this, the better. And the course is like right now it's $27, so it's nothing crazy. And I did that to make it attainable for as many people as possible. But to answer your question, I think keeping chaos at a minimum. When I see other people do this, there's usually three people in the room, including the photographer, and all three people are trying to get the pet's attention, and it gets chaotic. So when I teach people, because I do workshops here as well, everyone's like, "Wow, I can't believe how calm the room is when you do it." Because usually it's not many words. I have a rapport with my volunteers that help me, and they know what I want and what I don't want. So if the volunteers on either side of the dog are trying to get the attention, and I'm trying to get the attention, the dog doesn't know who to listen to. So my analogy is in the situation, if there's three pilots on an airplane and they all have different destinations, where are you going to end up? It's going to be bedlam or chaotic. I'm maintaining control, but I'm also keeping it calm for the dog because dogs read, human behavior really well. So if the room is calm, they'll be calm. That helps a lot.
Oh, I love that. That's I love that analogy as well. I can totally see that. I can totally see that like picture of this dog in the middle, and then it's like, hey, ball, hey, spot, hey, and then it's like you're capturing the chaos too. You've partnered with brands like ChewMate and PetLink to feature animals, shelter animals in particular, in their marketing. What sparked that idea on like combining? I know shelters and brands have worked together in the past, dog foods and certain things, but why? What was that idea moment where like in this journey you're like, wow, these brands need amazing photography, these dogs need exposure, I'll be the bridge in between?
Yeah. So I think the idea came to me in the shower, which a lot of my good ideas come because I'm not in front of my computer, like working on the business. So I don't have time to ruminate. But at the end of the day, we have a business and that business requires money to operate. And when I'm taking on private clients, like families, like you can see behind me if you're watching, and there's artwork on the wall, those are private families. That is how we make our living. This business supports my wife and I. So up until November of 23, I was going to the shelter once a month to volunteer, maybe photographing 10. So then I thought, man, I love doing these adoption photos, but I can't afford to be here every day, even though I want to. How can I find alternate funding? So then the idea came to garner sponsors because I listen to podcasts and watch YouTube videos and they all have sponsors. And our videos do pretty well on social media. So I thought, man, how can I get sponsors? So I just started posting on social media and said, hey, I'm looking for sponsors. And people reached out. But with ChewMate and PetLink specifically, I did pitch them. I said, here's the value proposition. These dogs need new photos. You need photos of your products, not necessarily photoshopped or, accessing stock photo websites that everybody has access to. What would you say if I could provide you with unique photos of actual pets using your products? And then those photos would also be used to help that dog get adopted. And it was like a no-brainer if the costs align, but it's like a win-win for everybody. The shelter doesn't have to pay for my services. I get to do more of it. The brand gets photos, they get behind the scenes content. It's just they get to promote, they're promoting shelter animals. It's like there's no loser. Everybody's a winner in this. So it's just an idea to help me take more photos of shelter pets and fund it essentially.
I absolutely. When I heard about it initially, I was like, that is brilliant. We work with pet brands and they're always needing, they have a new product line. They have a new look. They have all this stuff always new coming out.
All good.
No, you're good. They have a new product line. They have something always coming out and developing. And everyone I know that works in the pet space has a heart for shelter animals. And so it's like, yeah, of course. Like, why would we not hire this beautiful shelter dog and tell his story and get him adopted, and allowing for these really cool, beautiful shelter photos for a potential pet parent to come out there. And then you tell the story wonderfully on social as well. So they get this like amplification process. And then it's like, yeah, of course we love shelter dogs. And they can not just, I feel like a lot of brands say stuff. And through partnering with you and other actions, they're being tangible in those in that action, saying like, yeah, we support them because we use them, because we promote them, because we promote somebody that does it. It's like taking that about us or mission statement on their website and taking it like tangible and real, which I absolutely love.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, there's two aspects to it, right? It's the brand can engage us if they have a product like PetLink, for example. They needed new photos because they have a new product, the GPS tracker, and it aligned with shelter animals because those shelter animals sometimes are coming as strays or they get out frequently. And having a GPS tracker on a shelter animal telling that story from a content perspective really made sense to them and their leadership. And I had to, pitch it a few times, but I mean, they obviously got it. But at the same time, there's other brands that I'm trying to work with that can leverage our existing library of photos. So if they don't have a product, let's say it's pet food, and they need a unique photo for their pet food bag, I have thousands of photos that they could leverage that then I could take off my, let's say, my library that no one else can use it because that's a big concern. But then it's helping support us and do more photos, but it's also getting a unique photo of a shelter dog. And I just have thousands of photos to choose from. So that's another aspect to it too. So it could be a, work for hire photo shoot, or it could be a licensing an existing photo of a shelter
Excellent.
animal too.
I love that the story comes along with it as well. Obviously, your photos are beautiful on their own. They are fantastic. But once you add that story layer on it, I think nowadays it's story that wins on social. And we'll get to
For
that in a
sure.
little bit. It's like, yeah, you can have a photo, but if there's no story there, you can have a video, but if there's no story, it kind of falls short because everyone has access to a camera. So if like you don't have the skill set, but you also can't tell the story, it'll typically fall flat and people will be like, well, I posted a photo on social and it didn't work. I'm like, yep, because you didn't, that's all you did. And everybody can
Right.
do that nowadays.
Right. And I'm a little biased too. Like another example is we had a groomer reach out. They have 4 or 5 trucks, and all they've done is they had a very specific look they were going for their wrapping of their truck, and they got bogged down in the stock photo search. And then she said, "Oh, I saw this photo on someone else's truck." And it's hard to differentiate yourself when you're using the same photos as everybody. So then she had reached out to us saying, "Hey, do you have this kind of photo? Do you have that kind of photo?" So it's just people are starting to realize that the stock photo, although there's 10,000s of them, thousands of them, and they're inexpensive, the fallout or the risk of using those is that someone else could use it too.
Exactly. Yeah. Your brand is no longer unique, which is, it's not a brand, it's a commodity.
Right,
At
right.
that point,
And
you're
then
stuck.
and then you have the story behind it too. It's not only you getting a unique photo, but then you have content to be able to talk about and, you know, tell your brand story that way too.
I love it. That transitions perfectly into our next question here. You talk a lot about storytelling. Obviously, we've talked about that of like combining this, and it's not just imagery for you. You're telling this whole story. And again, go to his Instagram to look at some of their recent stuff, definitely in action. What makes a great story from a marketing perspective? What are those things that do you have a checklist? Do you highlight the header? Like, what's that moment when you're like, yep, we got it, print, post it?
Yeah, so I can answer this so many ways. So I'm always testing. Marketing is never static, it's always fluid. There's so much testing. And with social media, that's why I love it so much is that you know pretty quickly if it's working. It's like an investor. Investors invest in thousands of companies with the goal of maybe 1 or 2 doing well, right? So I look at it as I'm investing my time in these marketing ideas. Some work and some don't. So to answer your question, I found what works is people buy from people. So there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have a product or they're starting a product, but I never hear them or see them talking about why they created the product or what's the problem that they're solving. Doing a FaceTime like video, just talking to the camera like in your car, so popular now. Who knows, 2 months from now it might not be popular, but it's just if you can make a video where it looks like you're FaceTiming with someone and talking about, hey, my dog shed a lot and I created this product to get the fur out of the clothing because I needed that. And then I thought, hey, other people could use that too. And now my clothes are furless. And it's the founder talking about that. So powerful versus just a marketing photo. And I think people find marketing intimidating. So then they get scared of it and don't do that sort of thing. However, the other idea is when there's a story involved, let's say of a shelter animal, and I have a backstory of the animal. There was a dog boss who was surrendered because the owner's landlord no longer allowed him, and he was a big pit bull. And posted that video with that story. Video got 2 million views. It probably has more now. Found an adopter through the video, and now I've been able to do follow-up videos of the dog. That particular dog had a problem with its urethra and needed surgery. So then the dog was so popular on our social media that I was able to do a GoFundMe and raise money for the dog surgery. So it's all these like micro stories that tell a bigger story that, I don't expect to move the needle off one story. It's all these stories that come together. And when there's a main character in a story, like when you're watching a movie, if there's no plot, just think simple forms, right? If there's no main character and there's no story, it's kind of like, What is this? Why am I watching this? The other aspect is when I talk about myself, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but when I talk about myself and my journey and how I got here, and I try and sprinkle that in it maybe once a month, that does really well on social media too. So if you could be vulnerable or you can tell your journey, because you get new followers probably all the time and maybe they don't know your story. So some people think that, or they're shy on camera or whatever. Maybe take an improv class and learn how to be in front of a camera or something. I did improv and I'm fairly good at it. So I maybe that helps. But I think those are long-winded answers to your question, but having a good story, something that is shareable too. Like what would you share with your spouse? Like what is a piece of content that you would see and be like, "Oh, I gotta send this." Can you create content that is hyper shareable?
It's fascinating because I love the fact that you're like, it's testing, right? It's like, I tried this format or this style. It doesn't work. The audience in that, in your feed is right. And okay, I'm going to try this. And then I'm going to add more character and add more of this. And so it feels like you're just constantly testing. And then I love the fact that you're like be able to connect with your audience and be vulnerable. I think that's a hard thing for entrepreneurs. And if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, or if you're tasked, I know sometimes in the marketing department, we're tasked to be the face of our companies. I know I've done that in the past as the marketing director. Like the CEO is like, no, I hired you. You're the guy or the gal that does that. Like understanding, like outline that as you would a story. Have a beginning, a middle, and a conclusion. Like the character goes from here to here, right? There's some
Mhm.
elevation, right? There's this story arc that we can walk through. And I think, and also from my perspective, is I love following people that do it really well and taking hints from that. How did Adam start his first 2 frames of his video? Well, maybe try a similar approach in yours and then add your own story on top of that. That's what I took from yours is like you're constantly evolving, you're constantly testing, but ultimately it's like their story, the story matters.
Yeah, and I'm unique in this, but I become a student of Instagram and TikTok, and I will seemingly scroll for 2 hours sometimes, just seeing what's resonating, what songs are trending, got me to take a step back and like, "Why did I watch this video? What is it about this video that got me to watch it?" And then I'm like, "How can I apply that to what I do?" And that usually gives me a bit of inspiration. It can be totally something random, like a workout video or like a dancing video or just anything. Like I'll just become a student of those platforms and see what's doing well and apply that to what I'm doing.
Certainly. I tell my clients all the time, like, if the person posting isn't on those platforms, you have no right on being there. Cross posting for the sake of cross posting is dead because gone are the days where accounts with, only 1 million followers can get a bunch of views on their stuff, is stuff that resonates on those platforms. I've seen people with 1,000 followers get 5 million views on a video, which would never happen prior. But it's like, if you're not on those platforms organically, just get off, be off of them, post where you can, win where you can, but just posting that, LinkedIn video on TikTok and thinking it's going to gain some traction is not going to happen anymore. That those are gone.
Yeah. Well, I have different experiences. Some videos that do really well on Instagram, if I post the same video on TikTok, it doesn't do as well. But vice versa. There's been instances
Yep.
where it's the same, but we have a good following on both, to your point. Um
Yeah,
the other thing
reels and TikTok I feel are kind of in they're like different, they're different countries, but they share they share some like cultural differences, right? Like
sure,
they
sure.
share cultures, right? Different countries for sure. But yeah, like some of the songs will trend earlier on TikTok, or some of the things will never get to TikTok and live on Instagram. Some of them will cross, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And then lately, I think Instagram has gotten, and maybe this is off topic, but gotten better at discovering what you like and serving you more of what you like faster.
Yep.
So I just started swimming and learned why I got served one video about proper technique for swimming. And then now all of a sudden it's just, I'm inundated with swimming videos. I feel like, and a lot faster. I feel like that's a recent change because
For sure.
TikTok does that really well.
I think I
It's slowly
golf.
getting,
Instagram thinks I golf, and I don't like, I watched one funny golf video and now I'm like literally being like not interested, not in, so it's a good and a bad thing. They're good at it, but we can talk algorithms all day long. Let's get a little practical. Obviously, storytelling can be big and process can be big. Um, this is the fit check. What gear, lighting, setting tips would you give to pet shelters or small brands trying to take better DIY animal photos?
Yeah. So when you say gear, like the lighting equipment that I use, is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah. What do you bring into, what's in the back of the trunk when you're setting up a photo shoot, or in maybe just in your pocket? I don't want to assume.
Yeah, sure. So I used to bring 3 lights with me, and that could be, like, overwhelming, especially if you're just starting out. You're like, "How can I afford these $600 lights, let alone 3 of them?" And it's a pain to carry all that extra gear. So I moved to 1 light from Westcott. I'm a Westcott sponsored photographer. So if you message me, I can give you a discount code if anyone listening to this is a photographer. I can't say it out loud, but you can always send me a message, and I can give you, I think it's 10% off. So I bring 1 light, it's called the FJ400, their new version, and then I use my, like, secret sauce, and it's not so secret because I post about it all the time, is a 7-foot umbrella. Now, you probably have seen an umbrella in a photo shoot before, but the larger the umbrella, or this what's called a light source, the softer the light and the more even the lighting will be, and that will highlight the dog better. If you have a smaller light, there's going to be a lot of shadows, and that will may distort the way the dog looks, and it might be harder to get an evenly lit backdrop. So get the biggest umbrella you can fit in the space or that you can afford. They're not that expensive. So that's my tip for people: is get the biggest light source you can. Because if you think of a cloudy day, the clouds are a way to diffuse the light, make it really soft. You don't want to photograph, even if you're outside during a bright sunny day, like at 12 noon, that's like the worst time. So if you have a cloudy day, and you don't have photo equipment and you're using your cell phone, that's the day to do it because you're going to get nice even lighting. It's not going to be harsh. It's the same with photo studio equipment. And then we use backdrop paper. Get that question a lot, like what sort of backdrop we're using. But my biggest innovation recently is I started using an AI software. Can I mention the name of the software? Are you cool with
Oh, for
that?
sure. Yeah, please.
Okay, so the name of the software is called AGoldPhoto, EVOTO, and it edits the photos for me. It's really great for portrait photographers if you're working with humans. The settings there are incredible. There's sliders. It makes photo editing a lot more attainable for the average person because it's just like, this person's not smiling. Let me slide the smile slider, and then their smile will curl up. That's just one of many, many, many examples. So, but for my purposes at the shelter, photograph into this AI software, and then it edits them for me. So if there's like a leash in it, I could edit it out easily. If the backdrop's unevenly lit, I could edit it. And I have some cool ideas coming up. So be on the lookout for how we're using that software to market these pets a little bit better. But that's a really big secret of mine, is that I don't have to spend time editing these shelter photos. I could use this AI software, and then we could talk more about different types of AI like ChatGPT also that I use for content marketing later. But and then I use a Canon R5. That's a pretty expensive camera. You don't need an expensive camera. I would invest in the lens. That's another good tip. A lot of photographers spend all this money on their camera. Invest in the lens. What I use is a 24 to 70. That's also not inexpensive. I think it's about a $1,200 lens. You could buy used, get a 50 millimeter lens. Those are like 150 bucks. And you can get by. And then if you start making money from your photography, then invest in the gear. But those are the gear. That's the gear that I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because you've given this wide variety of, like, you could go on Amazon and buy cheapest umbrella and use your iPhone camera and give those tips. But then if you're watching this as a shelter pet or a shelter, and they're like, hey, we got to do more. We have 1,000 photos, 100 dogs in here, and we need these high quality photos. Okay, cool. Let's put 3 grand aside in our marketing budget to invest in proper equipment, and upgrade as necessary. So thank you
Yeah.
for that range. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Well, I guess three grand for the camera and everything probably is about accurate. I was thinking 3 grand for lighting. Yeah, that would be probably too high.
Yeah.
You could get by with like $500 in lighting equipment. And then at the low end, and still produce great photos for sure.
Excellent. Yeah, I think it's like those little simple tricks. And then once you start appreciating better photos, then now you need to post about that on social. So let's talk about content. So we talked about kind of the video creation, the photography creation. So now you have that in the bag, you have that completed video, you have that completed photo in your Dropbox or however you store your files. What's that next step to get that to post on social? Maybe it's a brand partnership. What are you doing? How are you starting that off? What are your tips on?
So the advent of this AI software, Avoto, allows me to name the photos as I take them, which may not mean much if you've never done this before. But if you think of you're taking pictures on your camera, or even your phone, you can't name the file. So how do you identify which dog that is? So that saves me a ton of time when I go to upload them to social media and upload them to the shelter's website, where it's like, this photo file name is George. Okay, type in George in the shelter's backend, which I'm lucky enough to have access to, upload the photo, versus like creating a list. It's just administratively a lot easier. So that's the first step. But I always make sure to post the dog's profile with the photo. Because if someone sees this dog and they're like, okay, I like this dog. How do I go? Where's the link to the dog? So you got to make sure you include that. That's really important. And include the link to the pet profile specifically versus, the shelter's website where they see all the dogs. It's like if you're selling a widget, you want to link to that widget versus all the widgets, right? Okay, so then if it's a brand partnership, they usually are sponsoring about 10 dogs at a time, with a few exceptions, but I'll put their logo on the photos. And then I make sure that it says sponsored by, PetLink, or whoever, ChewMate. And then usually if the sponsor wants some sort of promo code or like an offer or a give back to the shelter, we'll include that. And then we talk as much about the pet as we can, what we know. A lot of the times they're strays, so we don't know much. But as I want as much content on the dog as possible, because that's what people like. Like that dog I told you about, the landlord situation. People resonated with that, and there's comments galore about I would move, all their like personal commentary, which is great because the algorithm loves that, right? So then I post it. I toy with single story reels, right? So one reel about the dog or a compilation, because each week I try and do 10 before and after compilation. So do people like seeing one dog with a little more depth, or the before and afters, the shelter's intake photo versus my photo, before and after? And those usually do really well, but there's no story at all. It's just before and after. So different people like different things. They both do really well on social media. It's just toying with the delivery of them. And then I'll do carousel posts on Instagram. They just changed it to 4:3. Used to be 4:5 ratio, so you can fill up the screen a little bit more. So now I crop all my photos to 4:3, which is when you're scrolling, if you're posting a 16:9 ratio, like what your TV is, takes up half the screen. If you post a 4:3 crop ratio, takes up the whole screen, more likely to get someone's attention. So I do carousel posts as well. And then carousel posts show it to people twice, which I don't know if people realize that. So if you have a 10 slide carousel, you're likely going to see that carousel twice with a different slide. Unlike a reel, you may not see that again. Toy with that. Another tactic I've been using is captions on the first slide. So there was a guinea pig surplus at the humane. Sounds funny. A guinea pig surplus.
Too many guinea pigs. Too many guinea pigs.
We're overrun with guinea pigs, which is true. So I did a slide that said Tampa shelter overflowing with guinea pigs as a carousel with music. Instagram suggests you put music on your carousel posts. And that did crazy, like has like 5,000 shares. And that was like 2 weeks ago, and people are still sharing it. But the photo of the guinea pig was one of those long-haired guinea pigs, which you don't see very often. So go to our page and check that out if you want to see a long-haired guinea pig. Adding a caption on the first slide, so when you're scrolling, you want to catch someone's attention, that adds to it. And it's like that's a shareable piece of it's like a news headline, which is, I think it's like there's a lot of ways you can just read the newspaper and see how they write their headlines. You could probably adapt those to your content.
I love that you're always positioning it. Yeah, you're always positioning it to like the platform and the audience. Like Instagram likes this, so I'm gonna lean in. I tell my clients that all the time. Like you can either be right with Instagram or you can give them money for them to promote your stuff, right? They have rules. You play by the rules and they'll promote you, probably. Or you just give them your credit card and then they'll send whatever you want to as many people as you want, right? Not whatever you want, but like I love that those are the two things in your mind at all things. Like check the Instagram box, checks the audience box. Instagram, audience,
Yeah.
Instagram.
Well, I'm sure you know Mr. Beast, right? Are you familiar
Oh,
with
for sure, yeah.
with Mr. Beast? So he's like incredible. And if anyone's not familiar with him, you should watch his content. It's like anyway, but his philosophy is I just want to make the best videos possible. And I feel that same way. Like if you are a brand and you're just starting out and maybe you don't have a big enough following or you don't have like a feel good aspect to your brand, maybe you should look at a feel good aspect because people like that sort of thing. But just focus on making the best videos possible and then people are going to like them. May not take off right away, but eventually people will find you.
Absolutely love that approach. Looking ahead, and thank you so much for sharing these tips, both tactically, but then also like big things for brands to think about. What's next for AGoldPhoto? Any new partnerships, tools, campaigns in the works?
Yeah. So there's of all the things in the works I can't share yet. I'm trying to think if there's something I can share. We have this is what I can share. We have an in-person workshop coming up for anyone interested in running a photography business, learning photography, leveraging shelter pet photography. That's coming up in February of 26. And I'm partnering with another photographer who has a more dark and moody, what's called low key style. So he's going to teach the low key side of photography. It's just dark and moody. And then my like more brighter photos, high key photography. So we're running a workshop. It's under the education section on my website. I'm always thinking about new ideas to market pet photography. So my new kind of idea is once I have a honed pitch of what these brands want, meaning how many pieces of content do they want? What are they willing to pay? It's all one big experiment. And then I'm just going to start pitching brands as many emails as I can find and saying, hey, I saw you posted about, there's a lot of ways to pitch brands. But once I hone in on figure out what the market will bear for these sponsorships, figuring out a way to get enough money to do this full time. Because right now I do, families and, creating artwork for them and that sort of thing. It's about 50% of what we do. But I want shelter pet photography to be 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely love it. I know you'll get there. You create fantastic photos and your social media reach alone. Brands, if you're listening, because I know you are, because you messaged me looking for resources, this is it. You can tell the story, you can get the social media reach, you get photography for your marketing teams, because we're always looking for that. I was on a video shoot and a photo shoot last week, and it was like hours and hours and hours of stuff. And now we have, all that's content we can use. So reach out to Adam. On our final question, where can listeners follow your work or collaborate with you? Hopefully our brands are interested in working with you on the amazing work you do.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I spend most of my time on Instagram posting videos, probably on there like half the day if you add all the time up. Then LinkedIn, I've been spending a lot of time on LinkedIn lately, which a lot of opportunities come out of LinkedIn. I think people sleep on LinkedIn, honestly. I know you're on LinkedIn. That's how we reconnected. We've known each other for quite a while now from different pet industry shows, but LinkedIn is incredible because, and I can go into detail why, but essentially a lot of people in business, that's where they hang out. The decision makers are there and they're looking for new and innovative ideas. I think innovation in the pet space is like a hot word, whether that's innovative new products or innovative marketing ideas. It's like, how innovative can you be? And then you'll get people's attention. That's my philosophy. Is like, I'm trying to be as innovative as I possibly can. I wake up every morning and be like, how can I innovate today?
I
um,
love it.
so that's where you can find me. LinkedIn and Instagram mostly.
Excellent. And we'll put those links in the show notes as well. Well, Adam, as always, thank you so much for what you do. You're elevating photography and storytelling in the pet space. Every time I see your work or I have a friend share it to me, I'm like, of course, that's what ended up on my feed because you're tireless in that innovation and always creating that really amazing and wonderful content that we all enjoy. So thank you again, Adam, for being a part of the Pet Marketing Mastermind.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And I hope I can help just one person. If I help one person make a difference in their marketing or if they get involved with shelter pet photography, that's a win for sure.
Excellent. If you are listening to this episode and you use one of the tips, just tag Adam in there or message him directly and say, hey, I got that big umbrella, or I reduced the chaos in the room. One plane, one pilot, one destination. Well, thank you, Adam, again. Thank you, listeners, for following along and for subscribing. If you have not, please subscribe to the Pet Marketing Mastermind wherever you listen to your podcast, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.